Greece is the word, and apparently we are the turd. Well, not exactly, but Greece does have the surplus, and we do not. And because Greece has slowly but surely started addressing its spending mess, and we've got all of Washington taking August off as if we don't even have a spending mess. So what is the, the Greek olive term for we're the one that's pissed? Imogen Lloyd Webber, and Lenwood Brooks, and Lizzie McDonald. Lizzie, really? Great Zeus.
Yeah, great Zeus.
Greece gets it, we don't?
Greece gets it and we don't. Listen, what's going on there is they have been doing austerity, and they have Germany over their shoulders saying, listen, if you don't fix your spending and your spendaholic ways, you're not going to get IMF money, you're not going to get Euro money, you're not going to get ECB money, we're just not going to help you. You've got to do it. Whereas here in the United States, we have this echo chamber where, the liberal media and people in Washington, D.C., you can't admit any contrary opinions or facts. The facts are you cannot spend your way out of your problems. You can't. Countries around the world have never succeeded doing that. And the thought process here is, well, we have the dollar, we have the reserve currency, we can print our way out of this. China is still buying our debt, and we're going to be okay. It ain't happening, it ain't playing.
Imogen.
I'm going to give America a round of applause here. You have done better than everyone else in the world at getting through the financial crisis. Take my home country of the UK. We have in charge...
I had no idea you were British.
No idea at all. Well, we have these GQ boys, as you call them,
yes.
in charge,
yes.
David Cameron and Nick Clegg. And
right.
even Nick Clegg, the Deputy Prime Minister...
They do look like a GQ.
Yeah, has even admitted that when we did austerity measures in Britain, full-on austerity measures, we did too much too soon. We've now got anemic growth. The chief economist of the IMF has said... Britain, you have not done well. America, on the other hand, your deficits are absolutely going in the right direction. They're going to be lower now, I think, this year than they have been since Obama came to office. Yes, but at the same time, you clearly are leading the world in the recovery here. You don't want to be a brick. You want to be in America.
What do you think of that, Lenwood? That we actually do get it, and Greece, whatever its turnaround in fortunes, isn't us.
I'm not sure we do get it here in America, Neil. After 2008, we saw nearly 4 years of $1 trillion plus deficits. Just because it's half that now, it's still incredibly too high. But back to Greece, Neil, I don't think Greece is a country we should be following in terms of a fiscal path. If you look at it, the unemployment rate in that country is over 25%. Two-thirds of all youth can't find jobs. That's not a way you want to get the economy back on track. But they're having to listen to all these foreign creditors telling them how to run their country. They waited too long.
What do you make, though, basically, Lizzie, of the point Imogen was making, that maybe because we haven't gone as austere as some of these countries, and that we have been spending, and that our own Federal Reserve has been in the game adding $85 billion a month to keep this going, that, say what you will, we're certainly in better shape than the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think Imogen has a point there. Talking about Great Britain, I think that the central bank over there is buying, I think, government debt. So they're doing the same thing that our Federal Reserve has been doing. But we are so short-term focused in Washington, D.C., that is to say that austerity is going to kill us. Remember there was, fears that we're going to have something equating the Mayan collapse if we had $85 billion. Now it's around $50 billion in spending cuts for this year. Well, guess what? It didn't happen. Guess what? Things are moving along, even though, the growth isn't that great. The problem is when we have such anemic growth of 1.5% or 2%, when you have the pension costs piling up, when you have Obamacare adding $1 trillion to the nation's deficits, you got to say to yourself, we do need restructuring in a big way, state, local, and federal level.
All right, you mentioned, Imogen, as well, that Britain overdid it. Wasn't the argument that you started with tax hikes right away, spending cuts came later, so you actually got it, not you personally, ass backwards?
It was about 80-20. That was always the aim of the split, and it was all done pretty much at once.
I know, but the big old tax hikes were the ones that came first. And they had to take that back on the wealthy, right?
The main one was the consumption tax. That went up to 20%.
And then did they dial that back?
No, it's still 20%. Britain has just been a disaster. Don't use Britain as an example.
Wait a minute. Now, the wealthy surtax, what happened to that? Because they dialed that one back.
That one got dialed back. But
they realized it was a
fundamentally,
mistake.
it was austerity Britain. They were busy doing spending cuts on across every government department. Yes, across every government department apart from healthcare and foreign aid. In regards to the US, fundamentally, you've got to reform that tax code. That has got to be the aim of Congress. Get that sorted out.
Then, bottom line is, I always think it sounds impressive to stand out in the world, but when you realize that you're the tallest pygmy in the room, you realize as well that you're the tallest pygmy in the room. So what are we bragging about? Or should we be bragging about?
I don't think we should be bragging, you know. I mean, we haven't taken a serious look at our spending. It might be down slightly this year, but if we look at the mandatory spending side, the real drivers of our spending in the future, we haven't touched those. And until we touch those, we have nothing to be bragging about. These programs are important, but they need to be preserved and protected.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Up late, I'm just going to tell you something, that Imogen has a shocking news alert that borders on agreeing with me. Now, when that happens, we're going to alert it. But I'll leave it there. I will leave you wanting to watch this, like you always are anyway.
Tease.
It's a tease, exactly. Meanwhile, Harry Reid accusing unions of